Welcome back to the show. Where we are building a SAAS. This SAAS is already built, and I gave a extensive intro about what we are building. So now let's just hop into coding. We have our windows open here, and we have our task ahead of us. The task is to make this oh wait, this seems frozen. Let me try again. Is there a refresh on the this channel seems frozen, so I will remove it. Interesting. Remove it. Yes. And then re-add it. Screen capture. Is it working? Ah, there we are. Alright, sorry about that. So, what is the task? The task is to there we are. The task is to be able to configure any movement to a macro or a snippet. Now the reason why I postponed this so much is because I did not know how to display this macro or snippet in here. So for example, instead of this DE, I would have a multi-line text or this sausage of a thing. And what am I going to do with this in this interface is a little bit complicated, and I didn't come up with a proper solution. I did separate the configuration page, which is nice, but I have no clue how to display this here. So let's go, as always, for a quick and dirty solution, and then we are going to think later. The quick and dirty solution is, well, if you have a macro, then simply display an icon of letter M. Insert emoji, M, for example, letter A, B, O, P, there is no M. Oh, there is. Nice. So this is for macro, and this is for snippet. ABC is nice. Yeah, we're gonna do this. ABC. So these two icons, icons, call it whatever, we are going to use to signify that the assignment of a macro or of a snippet. The snippet will be considered a multi-line text. Alright, so that's that. Now, we are displaying in catalog. What are we displaying here? We are displaying all entries, and this comes from this piece of combinatorics code that generates all entries. Entry is basically user movement. So one chunk of user input is a entry, and we are generating all the possible entries, and then we are filtering those based on the selected filters here, and displaying the rest. Alright, now what is the question? The question is, what text, for example this D, where it comes from? Well, this D comes from here, new map, and then the key of this map is entry text of the entry, and this map is configured here. Now, why new map? Well, the old map used the notation from receiver, physical notation of coordinates of circles. So we have two circles. We have a big circle and a small circle. This is the small circle, and this is the big circle that goes around both squares. Now, this here is basically a notation for these two circles, or coordinates in these two circles. But I was thinking, wait, these coordinates are relevant where? They are relevant only in the receiver, in the driver of the keyboard. So where the driver is, these are relevant. But this is readable and understandable. To north position 0, to north position 0. So these are more readable keys, and this would translate to something like how it goes. Center null, SM6. So instead of this chunk on the right, we use this, which is much more nice. So I was using this notation, and then I decided to transition to this notation. So I made a new map and did not rename it. Anyways, we are reading from configuration page of a new map and displaying this value. But this configuration page is fixed, and it's in the shared folder, because both controller and frontend want to know what is in the configuration. And this made an assumption, and this assumption is there is only one configuration, which of course will not be true. Any user will be able to have multiple configurations, let alone all users together. So what we need to do for as initial step is to put this map in Redux, and then modify this instance of map that is in Redux, and later we can decide what are we going to do with these edits. So let's do just that. We have our store for the keyboard, and in this store we have probably, let's make this a little bit smaller, and let's see what is happening. We have remote machine reducer, and now we want the editor to see. We have user slice, and we have remote machine reducer that is put in a front-end part of the code, and this is completely wrong. So let's first replace this slice, reallocate, find a new home for this thingy here, and it's called remote machine slice and put it here. Now we need to import some types. Oh. No suggestions. Alrighty, let's start from the top. Create slice, yes. Local device. Well, it should be part of the slice as a constant, or maybe the part of shared. But let's for now put it in screen key keeps failing. I reinstalled it, I did everything, it still keeps failing. Okay. Anyways, let's put it here for now. Whoop. There you go. Now let's export the types. Let's export the constants. Type 1, 2, 3. All right. Remove the unnecessary import, and now we can import this thing here. All right. Now we have another missing import. Remote machine status. Let's do this. All right. And now in store we have this problem. All right. So this should compile. Let's start the development server to just keep track of errors, and let's fix them. What is this? A bunch of unnecessary things, and now we continue with the fixing of the imports. Actions are now in different place since we replaced them. This is in different place, and one more. All right. So we have moved the old reducer for remote machines to a new place. Now we can make yet another slice for, let's call it configuration slice. And now let's see what is happening. Well, we have something that is called layer. Type layer is going to be just the same as shared config ts map. So this could be a compile time constant, and it has missing keys. It has missing keys. We can collapse. Come on, don't bother me so much. We can collapse this, and we have yet another map. Aha! Alright. So this is our concern. We have this physical to gesture notation map, and this is the interesting part. So all the values here are the possible keys for the new notation, and we want to make a type of an object that has these values. Now, if these were keys, I could easily make this by saying type layer is record key of type of physical gesture notation map to string, and then we are all set. And this to string, well, it's going to be string for snippet and it's going to be macro for macro. So let's keep the string for now. But we are a little bit unfortunate. Key of can generate a new type. Can value of no type of yeah. So we need to consult our good friend artificial intelligent robot. So how in S02 generate a type out of object A's values as, and these values are new keys for a new type, which is a record. Alright, so we can do this. Type of, and then alright, and there is our layer. Now we need to count the dude a little bit. What is happening here? We can use Control P and then hash and then new map to go configuration if you don't remember the file where the configuration, where a symbol is, and then we can expand region to hop to the end of this object in order to avoid pressing keys too much, and we can cast this into layer. And now it is crying, the compiler is crying much less, and this is because of excessive and unfinished definition. So now that we know what the layer is, we want to say what is a configuration. A configuration is let's stop for a minute. So we want to make macros work on a single layer. No configurations for now. So we have a layer, and layer is simply a map of keys into values. But later we will have a layer descriptor, which is layer plus its name, and we will have a configuration which is multiple layers plus their names, plus configuration name plus configuration documentation. So let's for now focus on one layer, and let's create a slice. Create slice. Yes, it is from toolkit, and we want to pass it a name. The name is layer slice. Okay, configuration slice. Then we have initial state, which is a layer new map, and we have reducers and possible events. Now the possible events is what events are changing our state in this layer is key assigned. When we assign a key, we want to change the state. Alright. Now, why is the TypeScript crying? Payload any, it needs action. It needs a type annotation somewhere. But how do we annotate? Here a slice, no? Configuration slice. That's where we are now. User slice. Create slice, user slice, reducers, no reducers. Remote machine slice. Action with payload. There is no. Alright. So create slice could probably receive so you can always consult your. Alright, so the action is we can actually put here payload action. Payload action, and then we have an object which has a key which is in string, no, which is new notation key, and we have a value which is a string for now, and that's that. And now we need to dispatch this. So export export const. All right. All right. And now we can incorporate this into our store. No, not this one. This one. And we can say, come on. There we go. So now we have our thingy. We have our layer in Redux, and now if we go to the new app and reload it and go to Redux and check, there it is. So we have our configuration. All right, now we can change, and this is binding something, bind event binding, and we have these messages that we can, I'm pretty sure, collapse for now. These are basically documentation for each of the arrows, and in event binding, where are the inputs? So we have two options. We have text area and we have when this text area on change, then dispatch, we need dispatch, and then we need to go back and to say one more back, text 151, and say dispatch what key assigned, and we need to pass a key is enter text of entry, and value is, well, this value. And we need to import this piece, and that should be it. So now I want to put this as a mobile, yeah, like that, and I want to make a change. Go to this arrow, and this should have a value of const layer is use app selector state configuration layers. Okay, it's not layers, it's only layer for now, and that's our layer. And then we have our layer of entry text or empty text, and this is your value. So now we have RE here, which is nice. And if I change this then and go back, then we should have it's not working. So we did go for this, and alright, I know what's the problem. So in catalog we are not reading from a layer, we are reading from the initial map that we created. So let's repeat the layer part, selecting the layer, and let's put it in this, and then we can simply use this layer instead of new map. So new map is here and here. I don't need these casts anymore because we dealt with types. So this I can remove, and I can take this new map. There are 3 places where we are using new map, maybe more. For now, let's swap those, and let's see if there are any more. New map. Here, I don't need this once again, and I can use this also. New map is unnecessary import, and now I should be able to reload, maybe. I don't know, let's see. When I reload, the store reloads, so every configuration gets lost. But if I change here and close, still nothing happens. Let's see our Redux key assigned. This is the action, and this is the difference. So our this key has new value. This key has a new value, but we don't see this value here in catalog. Why? Because entry needs to use not the new map. We need to remove this import. We need to read the layer, and we need to use it. 37, and here we change yet once again. We don't need this. It's good when you are deleting a lot of things. And now we have the possibility to put a multi-line text in this thingy here. Now we said if it is a multi-line text, then we want to, instead of displaying the text, we want to display an icon. So let's make multi-line text, and if I go back here, it gets, let's see what is the value, new value of the, alright, so it has the new line, but this new line gets compressed here, gets eaten. So we need to go back to this entry component and to discuss what? Invisible input value. Aha, so the input field eats the new line. Alright, so we got that, but we want to display like this. This is layer, and this is, actually we want to entry value, and then we want to say entry text, and then we don't need to look at the layer at all, we just need to look at entry value, which is much better because we don't want to update all the entries or changes of the map of the layer, only the one that gets actually updated. Alright, and now we need to discuss on this entry value. So let's wrap this into a conditional, and let's say if entry value does not include a new line, we just need then display the input. This is not an arrow, so match, not match. The include should work. But it is undefined, so we just need to check. Now this invisible input was meant to allow us to change the value of the entry right here in this component, but since we added a page for configuring an entry, then we actually don't need the input after all. So we can delete this, and we can say if entry value and entry value that includes new line, it does not include, then just add entry value, just display the entry value. Look, like this. Alright, but if it does include, then display the icon for include insert emoji, not ABC, and that's that. And then we dealt with snippets and with. So this one has a snippet because it is the enter character by itself. All right, so here we are in second line. All right, that is kind of unexpected, and this should be aligned to center, and styled entry should have a text align to center. All right, that's much better. Then what else? Now we have our snippets and we could make them work, but the much more interesting part is macros. So let's postpone working with the snippets. We could type character by character into operating system, or we could add to clipboard and then paste everything all together, which is also an option. So the second option is probably faster. The first one has a delay between each typing, so if the snippet is long, then you would need to wait for everything to get typed a little bit. We're gonna see how much, but that's something to consider. And we could add to clipboard and paste there directly. But what we want to do now is not persistency. Let the configuration be flashed, no problem. We are not still concerned with making a perfect configuration. When we start to be, we will add persistency. But for now, we are concerned to bind macro to an entry and then execute this macro. This is the primary concern. So we have our macros, and these macros are where? Well, they are more or less just as the configuration or the default layer was a constant, so are the macros, and they are hard-coded. So we could add macros to the Redux, and we could make this macro interface dispatch events to this slice. But maybe we can skip this and simply let this interface here display the macros, the hard-coded ones, and choose a hard-coded macro. Let's make this our first step. Let's choose a hard-coded macro and bind it to a entry, and then execute this macro. So how are we going to do this? Well, let's see, macro selection. Once a macro is selected, we have an idea of what. I have new music and I'm not. Let's pick something new real quick. So maybe this. All right. Anyways, what's the question? Once a macro is selected, where is this? On select. On select is passed. And what is on select? It is passed into macro selection. And who uses macro selection? This event binding page. And event binding page on select macro should console log a macro. So let's see if this part works. If I select a macro, then I should see a log of this macro. Now this is my macro. Next tab we selected next tab. This is actually a macro descriptor. It has a temporary ID because it did not go into the database, but we need it for keys or whatever. And it has its name, alright, and it has its modificators, alright. So we have our macro descriptor. Now the question is, do we care to bind a macro descriptor in a layer, or we can simply bind macro itself? Well, we could argue that we want a macro descriptor because then a configuration can decide whether it's going to show the macro name if it exists. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to bind this macro descriptor. Let's rename this to MD, and let's see what else happens. Now we need to dispatch the change. So let's do that. We have dispatch. So we need to dispatch key assigned. The key is entry text, and the value is just macro descriptor. And then we will allow macro descriptors in our slice. Get slice, configuration slice, and here we will allow this macro descriptor type. And then we need to say if type is string, then do this, else oh, we need to change the layer type also. The layer need to be this or this. Alright, and now this should not be the problem at all. It should function. Alright, now the problem is entry.tsx, and we need this here, and type of entry value equals to string. If it is a string, then do this. Another problem is event binding page, and here alright, so we have additional question, and this additional question is if we want to listen to this scenario. So if we want to let a user assign a snippet to an entry, and then when a snippet is assigned, then we want to let the user assign a macro by swapping between those two, and then we want to memorize both assignments of a snippet and of a macro. And then when we have memorized both assignments, we need to memorize which one of those he is currently using. So he can basically swap between assigned macro and assigned snippet in an instant just by pressing one button. And this means that our entry needs to remember three things: textual assignment, macro assignment, and choice. So do we want this feature? This is the question. Do we want this? It seems nice, but realistically, how useful is it going to be to choose between macro and a text for a entry? Are you going to press Ctrl-Shift-C or to write something on a position is really an edge case. It's really an edge case. So we don't need this feature for now. So we need to set another thing. And this another thing is this. We need to decide. Once we know our value, we can decide the initial state of this based on this value. Value equals and we decide this very simply by type of value equals to string the text, otherwise set macro. Wrong operator. That's that. And now it automatically knows. So display text area only if it is text, but if it is text, then this is text also. So this cast is safe cast, and now it compiles. Now go back to the dispatching of bind event binding, dispatch key assigned, and this is the value for text, but then we want to put a macro descriptor. And now we should be able to assign a macro. And if I go to Redux and check this, we have action that dispatch to center from north position 2 with modificator, and the macro is this, and the difference is I have this for the modificator, and there is no red difference because we did not have an assignment on this button. But if I choose to change this and go here and do this, and then I see an action which has a red diff. Alright, so we did successfully assign a value of a macro to an entry. Now we need to display this new entry value, entry .tsx, and if it is an object, entry value and type of entry value is not string, then you should display our this thing, m, letter m, this one, and if what's the structure of the object? So we have name. If value, entry value dot name, or empty string. And now if we close this, we have next tab. Alright. Now macro names can be long because the idea is to do categorization of macros directly into the name. So the macro name would be something like I don't know, for example, Control Shift P is a macro, but Vessel Code has this as a command palette. Commands, but Chrome has this as a print command. So it has a different meaning in a different environment, and to be able to quickly search a macro, we would like to have this both possible, but we are certainly not going to display all these things in here. So we are going to think about this later. For now, go back to our primary goal, and our primary goal is to execute the macro. So the big question is, can our controller server receive the macro? Let's try. First, we need to turn off the development server so that no confusion arises. Then we need to run a script to build the production version of frontend. Touch keyboard, this one. Keyboard build. Alright, so let's do this. Let's do npm run keyboard build. And then it's going to build our keyboard and put it in the thingy, in the backend public. And then do we have our backend running? This is our controller for home PC, and it seems like we don't have our here is our backend running. Now, did we make any changes to our backend? No, so we don't have to restart it. We just pushed the new front end build inside this, so no need for restart. So backend should receive a macro and forward it to, but let's check this theory. Backend index, and then see what happens on the input console of body device, and just forward the input. So this guy here, this controller should be able to receive right now without starting anything new. So let's bind a macro, for example, on this movement from north to right, and do Ctrl T, and if we are lucky, what happened? I need to reload this app because this is the old version of the app which does not bind. So if I reload, but not on the route, on the root route, and go to configure from north to east, and set a macro that is Ctrl Tab for next tab, and close this, then I have this next tab macro here, and now I could calibrate my keyboard and make the calibration and go from north to right to the east, and let's see what happened. Pasa nada, nothing happened, not even a network call from the front end. And let's see why. This is a remote connector. The remote connector is posting input to the backend. Oh, alright. So actually we did get this executing DA. And if I do again, no, this must be old. This is old log. So not even a network request happened. And let's see why. Let's see why. Key mod date device. Alright, so we have problems on the way. The first problem is the controller device is using the old configuration, the hard-coded configuration, not the new one that is configured. But let's go step by step why we don't have any request. That's the question for now. And because we made a change, we need to build again. Now this setup is a little bit unfortunate because I need to build, and this is because of this unusual architecture of having 3 nodes. So I need to play around a little bit in order to have everything with live reload. But for now this is not our priority. For now we can go like this. Now, this is our controller, and this is our backend. And if I make any kind of input, it's going locally. That's why we don't have any request. If I route this to a remote device and then calibrate the keyboard and then we had the post request and the controller did execute something, some new things. Alright, so let's RA, here it is. So it does the typing, screen key says it. It does the typing. So we want to go back to our from north to east and to map Control T. And now that Control T is mapped, I should be able to switch the tab by swiping right. Not really, and this is the exact reason why, because backend is using old the controller is using old configuration map. So for this, to fix this, we need actually to propagate changes of the layer to backend, and then backend needs to modify to notify the controller about the changes. And what we need to do. I will be right back. All right. So next steps is to propagate the changes. The change is event is the key change event. So we go to store .ts, not this one, store of the keyboard, and we have our root saga, which will take every what event did I say? Key assigned. It will take every action, and it will notify the backend about the change. So first we need to finish this function. Then we need to make an endpoint on our backend index, and this endpoint will be app.post key. Let's call it imperative or event-based name for the API. Post device. Post layer change. And request response. And then we need to do parsing because no this. And now we need a device. That's correct. So let's see in our Saga. No. So where do we get device? Yeah. We can get the current device in the Saga itself. So let's do this. Const device is yield So let's say a word or two. We are making a Saga. Saga is middleware. So when the Redux action gets dispatched, Saga will pick up on this. And after the reducer finishes its work, Saga will execute its own work. This fancy syntax is basically a fancy built-in command pattern in JavaScript, and you can leverage this so that somebody else takes care of if things needs to be awaited or whatever needs to happen with things. The Saga library takes care of this, and you are writing basically similar to await, but the execution of the stuff is delegated to the library. So the library can easily parallelize or do anything that you need. Now the errors that we are getting are present, and let's see why. I'm not entirely sure. We can post the device we need. We can post the date, alright, and we need to post key and value. That's correct. We can separate this in multiple things, in multiple rows. And the only problem that remains is this yield warning, and we need a type annotation for this selector. Now let's ask our good friend here and not waste any time how to annotate type for the selector so yield doesn't show a type error. Just go to code, skip the blah blah part. Alright. So these types are not working properly. These types are. Which is unfortunate. I just want to make this macro work. And at one moment, another factor will be needed. So now let's see our backend. And it should receive this mid-layer change to body, to this device, and then our controller should be able to receive this message and say should receive this change. Now we need to restart our everything. We need to restart. We need to restart the backend. We need to restart the controller. And then we need to build the frontend and to what for. We have no error handling, but as I said, let's handle the happy case. Let's handle the happy case. We have some toasters for error handling, but let's deal with this a little bit later. And then let's make a layer change. And what happened? Action. So in our store file, this got executed. Now let's build again. this is torturing us too many times. Anyways, since we are almost there, let's not deal with base URLs now. $500. There is no emit for undefined, and this is because we have this device. So if I actually change this, so there is a to home PC, then this could work. Yeah, it sent configuration change, and that controller where change this. So now the controller has new value. This is good. Oof, I'm getting tired. Alright, let's go more. That's alright. Tired means good. Tired means good. Feel good about tired. Let's go into our controller and persist the Alright, so now we are persisting the changes on the controller, and now we have this execute a value. This is executing directly into the operating system. This is not what we want. What we want is to modify this key, mod, and map. So we want, instead of map, alright, this is a bummer. So this get key value is from shared and is used where? No, this is used find all reference. differences. In local connector, in what is this? In controller, and that's that. So get key value gets the key, and then stringify key parsed. If it has only one entry, this is the special case for tab, but value is key of map. Map, key of map, and you are importing map. You are not importing map, you are having the map here. So local connector is passing the key and the map to but the key is old notation key. But I can translate old notation key to new notation. This is not so big problem. So we should be fine. The map is received here, but in local connector I'm passing through which map? What map is this? This map, the old map. So we are not going to pass old map anymore, we are going to pass new map, because old map we are using only in the record string. Then we need to change the type of this to receive a layer for now. Layer. And then we need to wait, but what with special case? What with the special case? Okay, so I'm returning value here and I'm returning value here, so I can just return the value, and then I don't need this, and I don't need this, and I can unite these guys into one, and this goes into trash, and this goes into trash, and this is it. Now a value can be a macro. But I omitted so if value then continue doing what you were doing. And that's that. that's that. Now map. New map. No, map. But this is not existing anymore. This special case. I don't know what to do with this. Anyways, this transformation of the key is outside of a receiver but deals with receiver notation, so it should not be here. In fact it should not be here. So yeah, that's that. Anyways, we have changed the get key value method. So this guy needs to pass the new map into this and needs to execute value. But execute value needs to receive a macro, and then it needs to discuss this case. If type of value is an object, do something else. And then this map, what is this controller? Needs to be new map, and something will not be working for that special case. This we can be sure of. But how do we execute a macro? Function execute a macro, this macro. Yasta, I don't want to think about this right now. Then, who else is using? This one is using. We don't need map on this place. Only new map is allowed here. And what is this? Execute value is not assignable to type string, but we did. Oh, alright. So because this is local connector, this must be string. Otherwise, throw an error. So that's exactly what we are going to do. If type of value is not string, then simply throw new error. Macros are not allowed in local. Alright, and that's that. So if we restart probably everything, we need the controller and the backend to register the change, and we need to build the front end again. We will probably discover an array of errors, but that's life. Because if this goes smoothly, then I got lucky. This was not so straightforward. Anyways, I don't have my backend script here, so it is probably here. No, I can kill this one. We go to trash. Here is my backend. Here is my controller. And now let's see what is happening. Let's see what is happening. First, we want to reload this and to see if our local typing is working, because we did delete a special case. So if I type DA, wait. Yeah, this is not working. Macros are not allowed, but DA is not a macro. RA, macros are not allowed. Macros are not allowed is here, and this happens if the type of value is not string, but the type of value should be string. Alright, so what we did here is basically reversed syllable is not non-alpha. So for letters, we inverse the syllable if there is a modificator. Alright, this should not be here. To do this should not be here. Reverse logic is part of configuration itself. Then what else? Type of value is not string, then please let's console log value. Now, terribly sorry that I need to build this again. There are stuff regarding the project setup that we need to deal with. Obviously the saga types and this restarting and anyways, if I go here and calibrate the keyboard and make an input, I get undefined, and this is undefined because alright, this is clear. So the key is old notation, so we need to translate the key, and how to translate the key is in shared config and shared config, and we have this physical to gesture notation map, and then we need to do this, and now it's translated, and we need to import this, and this should be as we need to fix the type of this to be record of string into new notation key. Now this probably has type cast in the end. Let's see this. It just has as constant. this is specified as value of this object, so this is the recursion. So let's go back here to deal with the problem, and the problem is as new notation key. As key of type of no whatever. This could be obviously done more nicely, but instead of doing it more nicely, hate TypeScript. It is not playing along sometimes. It's forcing you to do some things that should be alright. So let's try to type locally, and let's do this. Now we have local typing. The special case that I was mentioning is when, let's see the special case. Local connector. Here's the, no, it's a get value function. It's a get value function, and this has a single element, so this is correcting the key when it has a single element. So basically when we tap a position, it has a single element in the old notation. Now do we have this is old map. Aha. So double tap. Aha. Well, end mod. Alright. Alright. So R should not be working. Yeah, R is not working. Alright, so we have found this problem, but we can leave it because there is no way for us to not rediscover it every time we want to type any of the letters that are configured on double tap. We will not be able to, so we don't have to solve this right now, which is nice. But what we can do is we can oh fuck, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. So we did read this, and we did store the change in the controller, so we could basically execute a macro with dummy mock execution function, but we could execute it. So let's go to next tab, and let's see this next tab here, and then let's go to the keyboard and put it on a remote variant. Let's see if this guy did in fact, wait, configuration change cannot emit. Aha, this is a problem. Alright, and now I understand. So if you change the configuration for oh right, so this is even more complicated problem. So the configuration change needs to be emitted to all the devices, but not just that. When the device connects, it needs to all right, it needs to check if okay. For now we are not going to solve it. We are going to change macro to previous tab, and now we have previous tab, and this did go into 200, and this guy did receive this. So now if I execute the movement, the controller may alright. The controller is executing undefined, so we are almost there. Controller index executing value. Now value is undefined. Why is value undefined? Object log executing macro value. Because in the place where this is called, value is from new map, but we don't want new map, we want copy map. Is it called copy map or map copy? Probably, yeah, map copy. And another place is the definition of the not new map copy. Now I need to restart this thing. I need to make another configuration change while I'm in remote mode. I need to make the change, and let's say next tab. Now this guy received the next tab, and now if I execute the next tab, executing undefined. Execute value undefined. 4 milliseconds. That's fast enough. I did receive layer change, and then I did receive a input. Now this input gets a value key. Alright, let me see. When the input is sent, the key is in old notation, which is not good. So remote connector sends a key, and this key is received from onKey. That onKey is passed to remote connector in universal connector. Wait, there is no key. I don't understand. So no. this is on key. This is on key. Alright. And this key is passed by receiver. Aha! So I need to translate this. Key. Console log sending key. Here is the key. And here is the key that I sent. And the key that I sent will be actually key of notation map. How do I call this? Shared conf physical to gesture notation map of key as any as key of type of this, and then import this, and now the key is translated, and then you can console it. Alright, so I need to build this again in this terminal. Then I need to start my controller. And then I need to reload the front end. And I need to go to remote connection. And then I need to configure a macro for next tab. Then controller received this macro. Then I need to execute the movement. Here is the movement, and now it is executing this macro. Now we just need to write a function to execute the macro. Alright, tiny little bit break. Let me see if any of you alrighty. So we have done this part so far. Of receiving the macro on the controller server. So now we just need to execute it. So let's do that. This is probably good for shared, but let's put it in controller for now and just say post execute macro. Now when we get an input, here is the execute value should execute macro. Macro of value. Now, how do we execute a macro? This is macro sequence. No. We need to see into the structure of the macro itself. So the payload is this. No. Input. Okay, so here is the structure. we have the name and we have the macro itself, which is an array of this. Now we need for each znači macro descriptor, let's call it md, and then for md dot for each md dot macro dot for each m. You need to do something. And now what's the problem with this? md macro and md. Alright, now if type m key, no, macro has mods, has text, so const mods and text of the macro, and then robot can all right, and then no. So if text exists and text is not an arrow or tab, or so basically, and text dot length then do this is shifted. If is shifted, then wait robot shift down. So this is ambiguous. Alright. We don't need to care about shift. We don't need to care even about this. Oof, a lot of tests will be needed here. A lot of tests. So, opa, there goes my music. Alright, so then controller should execute this special key. So execute arrow tab etc. No split. Robot dot key tab text. Let's just check how does he do this. So how to press arrow left in robot.js. Cut the crap, just tell me robot.js key tap left. Alright, so key tap left, and this is not undefined. No, let's do like this, text, and now the macro should be executed. The macro. If we have letters, we are fucked. But we will fix this. So let's test it. We need to reload our controller device. We need to reload our keyboard. And once the keyboard is built, then we want to access the keyboard from the front end and send a macro for execution. So let's do this. Let's reload the front end app. I don't need this. Let's go into remote connection, and then let's configure a macro for next tab. So let's pick a macro for next tab here, and now we have the macro, which controller should register. Yeah, it is here. All right. And now if we execute this movement, maybe we get the tab swapped, but no, we get invalid key code specified. Now that's okay. That's okay because this mod needs to be const mod map, and then we have C for control, A for alt, S for shift, and O for super, since we are on Linux. And then we can press the mod, not by pressing mod, but by pressing mod map of mod, and you are as key of type of mod map. Alright, so the mods should be pressed now. Did we change anything on the front end? No. So the front end state is preserved, but we actually need to notify the controller about the change, because currently the controller does not query for the configuration changes in the keyboard itself. So now we need to make the modification again, and here we have this macro for changing the tab. And now if I execute this movement, let's see what happens. Again we have an error. Invalid key code specified, and the macro that for each. So let's cut the crap and let's console.log the whole macro. So JSON.stringify, and then when we have the whole macro, we can maybe conclude why the key code is not valid. Invalid key code specified. So let's not waste any time. Restart controller server, restart front-end app, and let's go to remote connection again and choose the remote connection, and then specify the macro that will be notified to the controller. And here is the notification for the controller. And now execute the macro. Alright, here's the macro. Mod is control, not C. So this is wrong. This part was wrong. I really don't need this map at all. Then this goes to rubbish. But if that is not the problem, then what is? Well, maybe this tab is not valid key code, so let's check with this guy how to press tab in robot.js. Cut the crap, just give me the snippet, but it is tab, robot key tab, robot key tab. So we are pressing down the modificators and we are pressing down tab. Alright, invalid key code specified error at line 98, then 97, 97 useless, then 94, that's a comment line, then 67, execute macro. Control. So is it robot.key toggle ctrl down or control? It is control. Okay, so if mod if let's do this here, mod equals ctrl, then do control, otherwise do mod. So I do need my map for controls after all, but never mind that now. We need a general refactor as soon as possible. Cleanup, not refactor, cleanup. But for now, let's reload this. Let's go to remote input and send the remote input to actually the same device, and let's configure a macro for next tab, and we did receive the macro, and then we execute the movement and the tab got changed. Ta-da! So this is the first executed macro in this system. The first executed macro. It is a reason for celebration. We have a happy case, but now let's go back to our perspective, and the perspective is now we can type even macros from the phone device. So we can type macros, we can type text, we can type signs. The next step is to actually use the system to do programming from touchscreen. And I think this I will leave for the next time, because now I got tired. I need a break to eat something and to rest, and then we will continue. Since we did execute one macro, we will execute many more macros, and maybe we will add persistency layer for these configurations to start to tweak optimal configuration for typing, and to simply, as we use the system and learn about it, we persist the default configuration, so it remains simply as that. Anyways, macro executed. A big step. Alright, until next time, see ya.